This is the type of day that makes you feel really lucky just to be alive. The world's messed up, especially environmentally, but when you're out here connecting with nature, you can't help but feel like you want to fight for it, do anything to protect it. If you are someone who cares about nature or you enjoy nature, you have a huge opportunity to help shape the future. Nature is too precious to throw away.
Oh my lord, it's them! It's the YouTubers! Oh my lord! You know, in the old days, back in the day, as we said, it was there's those people that write the books and do the films on paddling. Now it's just YouTubers.
We're a plague, man.
Yeah.
Dime a dozen.
It is a Whisky Fireside chat, okay? So, because I don't really know you guys that well, I like the past interviews I've done are like very past friends of mine. I just thought we'd start with this.
I've been sick a few times off that.
Oh, wait, okay. Maybe well, and you guys are YouTubers, and Jonathan, you started this a couple years ago.
Challenge accepted. And this time, it's personal.
Now, I never taught you at the college, but you did go to the college, this is Sanford Fleming College. Watch is good because I teach students at risk. Maybe it's a good thing I don't know you.
Yeah. For the
So,
best.
yeah, you went through the not the cartography, the GIS program, right?
Yeah, GIS cartography specialist, yeah. And it was funny because I saw you there. I walked past you once in the halls, and I was like, "What the hell? That was Kevin Callan." And then I talked to my professor, Lori Keeler Faulkner. She just retired.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Kevin Callan's here," and she's like, "Yeah, he teaches here." I'm like, "No way!" I was blown away. I couldn't even talk to you.
This has nothing to do with me. I'm actually doing really good and actually not talking during these interviews. I'm just asking questions.
That's true. You're a speaker, and I noticed that you're really just listening.
Well, I actually enjoyed listening, to be quite honest. There's very much different parts of me. Okay, first question. So, who, what, where got you into paddling into the wilds?
You go ahead.
Sure. I grew up doing it. I grew up in Thunder Bay, and so a lot of Quetico is one of my stomping grounds as a child, and then Nays Provincial Park as well. And my mom's a professor she's retired now, but was the professor at the Confederation College, so had summers off. And my dad worked from home. He was a home inspector for years, so we had that kind of luxury of when we were off for the summers, so we'd take off for a couple weeks at a time and just camp and do trips. We did the Missinaibi together when I was like 6 or 7, and my sister was 10 or 11. And yeah, and then since like my dad's got a pretty cool history of paddling when he was younger, did the Nahani and Mackenzie. My parents built a sailboat, sailed it to the New Zealand. Their adventures. My mom now she's retired, so we can't keep track of her anytime. She used to just take off for the summers, and now she's all over. But yeah, I really just grew up doing it and with family, and was really fortunate that way. So,
Jonathan, you probably have a similar thing, like, oh, my parents brought me up in the wilderness. I was born from the wilderness and all that, the womb, whatever, all that stuff. I get it. But the ultimate question is, you went to college and then couldn't get a job, and you went for 95 days and didn't stop paddling. What the hell was that?
First of all, you're wrong. I didn't grow up in it at all.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'll explain that. My dad took us car camping sometimes. I took him on his first backcountry trip 2 or 3 years ago. It was awesome. So I went on a backcountry trip in the Massasauga with a couple of buddies one time. It was something I wanted to do. I loved car camping, but I wanted to try the backcountry. And from there, it just exploded. And as you said, Like a year later, I did 95 days. However, it wasn't continuous. Like that was many short trips, right? It wasn't one 90.
You slept in your car.
Yeah, sometimes between trips. I had a mini.
I have this image of you. Yeah, I have this image of you sleeping in your car between trips, just eating Doritos,
Yeah.
and wondering where your life is going. Right?
What else? What else do you need? It's perfect. That's the life.
It's just sinking in. This is my last night in the backcountry this year. Kind of a tough pill to swallow, which probably sounds ridiculous considering I've had over 90 of them this year alone. Most people get a tenth of that, but still, it makes me ache. I don't know how to describe how much I love this, but enough to do it for tomorrow will be day 93, so enough to do it that many times in 1 year, and B, being without it for the next 6 months is very hard. It's like being away from the woman you love for 6 months. Really is how it feels, and it's like heartache.
That was good. It was good.
And that was an amazing summer, but it set the bar way too high for vacation and tripping. Like now I work full time again, and it's not enough, you know. Whatever small amount of vacation we have these days is so it's paltry.
So you actually work in the field that you went to college for?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, imagine. I mean, I studied commerce when I went to Ryerson, and then just reset my career. That's why I went back to college, was to get into something different because I just couldn't do my career for the rest of my life. I knew that. And yeah, worked out beautifully. I landed a job up here. That's what brought me to Marathon, and it was all serendipitous and just worked out so beautifully.
And there are fish here. Can't see it, it's thrashing too much. It's actually a brookie. It's really pale, but a really nice one. That's one of the bigger brook trout I've ever caught.
No, I'm sticking to the script. I actually write scripts for every single one of these interviews. I don't know how many I've done. I've yet to. Oh my Lord, it's late tonight. I got into whiskey early. I'm telling you. All right.
Fireball. Blame the fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah, fireball's not healthy for you. Okay. Angling. So your YouTube channel is Backcountry Angling Ontario.
It's a cat. It's so heavy and slippery.
Okay, so, but you're now more known as the guy that goes off canoeing in the far north because you live north, because you work north, whatever, and you catch lots of fish. So I started watching your channel religiously because of the angling part. And a lot of paddlers, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of paddlers don't fish. In my world, I mean, I do. It's an obsession, but it's not the biggest thing. So why the fishing?
What do we have here?
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I didn't really make that association between paddlers and anglers. I would have thought maybe more than half of paddlers fish, but maybe I'm wrong. I feel like they do on YouTube anyway. But fishing was passion number one. Canoeing came later. I loved fishing. I grew up. My dad would take me fishing in the canoe just for bass in the Kawarthas and down south. And I grew up in Toronto, by the Humber River and Lake Ontario, so I would fish that, even though it wasn't like a wilderness experience, even if I wasn't out in the canoe. I just wanted to fish all the time. I watched all the fishing shows on Saturday morning. I watched all the fishing on YouTube. I read fishing books. It was an obsession. Now, like you said, I'm the guy who goes canoeing and I just try to find wilderness. That's goal number 1. Fishing is goal number 2.
What do we got? Not much fight. Oh no! Oh! Oh no! That was a decent fish.
Fishing is something that enhances the wilderness experience for me now. And I think same for Erin.
Yeah, I was in the classic paddler category of not being an angler. That's not something we grew up I grew up camping and everything, but neither of my parents fish.
Wait a minute, stop. Like, you live in Thunder Bay and what?
I know.
Yeah.
This is all I'll give you.
It's a crime.
So my dad, his main line, he always says, yeah, I love fish. That's why I don't kill him. He hates fishing. My dad's a very, very gentle person and and he totally appreciates and supports, fishing and stuff like that, but it's not something he has any interest in.
You're backpedaling there.
Yeah.
That was a great pun, by the way, his main line.
Yeah. That was a good one. That's his go-to dad joke. Yeah, so I didn't grow up, and we fished a little bit in Quetico and stuff, and but it's not something I was ever super into. It was just kind of every once in a while, and more if I was out with people who fished. So I picked it up a bit more with John, and it's fun to do.
Nice.
A nice walleye.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Just in this deeper pool here.
And it was the cast after last cast.
Yeah. I think I said last cast, and then you took one, and then you took one more.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Good instincts, hon.
Thank you.
Wow, this is blowing me away. So basically you have Jonathan that actually did not go canoeing until a few years ago. He did fish obsessively and has a YouTube channel that he sort of maybe might change the title to, because Backcountry Angling Ontario, and now he's canoeing all the time, and you're probably having all these bass boat people saying, what is this show about? And then you have Erin that actually basically, was born and raised in the north, but has a father that hates killing fish. Like, this is going on. Okay, so Jonathan, 2 really important questions I was asked to ask you. One was, what's with the chips?
Your busy lifestyle calls for meals on the go. Try no-name nacho cheese tortilla chips, now in a convenient 908-gram format for all your caloric needs.
That started late in high school. I went through a growth spurt. I was not tall in high school at all. Now I'm 6'4", but my body just needed chips to fuel my growth or something. Like, I craved them all the time. One time I ate 3 bags in a sitting. I was quite sick, but yeah, like big bags. But yeah,
So
I just needed them.
Ask Jonathan if Doritos is a sponsor.
It should be.
Not yet.
It's not there. I'm just making that up. Okay. All right. So the other one was it's actually you read a lot of books on your trips. If you look through your videos, you read a lot of books. And I'm going to count to 5 seconds. I'm going to want you to list 3 iconic books you've read on trips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. I'll go. You might recognize this one, Kevin. I've said this before. I've probably said this at least 3 times on the internet. I love this book so much. It really is worth its weight in gold. If you are watching this, please buy this book. If you're a paddler in Ontario, buy this book. It is
Okay, Jonathan, toss that aside. Iconic books. Okay,
okay. But the roots are a gem, and the writing is very, very entertaining.
Okay, let's move on to some other iconic books.
Next one, I'll go Adam Schultz, Alone Against the North.
Okay.
Have you read that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Like I related to it so much, his character and his experience, and starting off with someone who just wasn't in the same headspace for an extreme trip, and just having to cut them loose and carry on alone because his passion was there, and struggled to find anyone who shared that passion. I don't know. You go. I'll think of a third one.
Ooh.
No, he's still got the 5 seconds. Go.
Okay.
Come on.
A recent one was Stranger in the Woods.
There you go.
Okay.
And Christine just read that one. She, I saw that she posted that.
Yeah, she reads a lot of books.
Yeah, she does.
And she's hot.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
You're a lucky man, and she's a lucky woman.
I'll edit that out. Okay.
I don't read as much on trips, but I am a pretty avid reader. So I'd say Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. And then for a bonus, The Hobbit.
That's great. That's great.
I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, but in terms of I'm trying to think. The Book Thief? No. Yes, The Book Thief. Kite Runner.
Good.
Yeah, Kite Runner's a really good one. The Book Thief is another one that's really good. I'm more into, and I just read The Tattooer of Auschwitz actually, which is really, really good. It's based on true story, and he was a prisoner and in the camps who actually was the person who did that, and his story's pretty inspiring. So I like the kind of historical fiction or more historical stuff that sometimes is a bit darker, but it gives insight into human nature, and there's usually light in it somewhere.
Yep. That's what we're dealing with. Oh boy.
All right. Is wilderness dangerous?
You gotta be kidding me. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh shoot!
Yeah. There's inherent danger to everything. There's inherent danger to
walking out your front door.
Yeah, cutting produce in your kitchen. You could cut your finger open, like.
Ow!
Oh, the pan?
The pan!
Oh no!
There's danger to everything, and just knowing what to do in a certain situation, having the wherewithal to deal with it, is what separates it from dangerous and not.
Now we're talking, baby! No amount of video footage could capture the difficulty in getting here over the last 4 days, especially the last 2. Pure bushwhacking. But it was all to get to this lake. This pristine, beautiful lake.
People are dangerous. People's lack of skill is dangerous. Places aren't very dangerous, in my opinion.
Oh, that's good. I think it's I think it has its like dangers and risks, and being knowledgeable and like going in with the appropriate what's the word I'm looking for? Just like
knowledge.
Yeah, pretty much appropriate
Skills.
knowledge and skills, and kind of dipping your feet in the water before jumping in is important.
Yes.
But if you're go out and get a little bit of experience here and there and doing it properly, I think absolutely not. In terms of, is it dangerous to sleep in the hammock and possibly get eaten by a bear? I don't think so.
How's your view?
Just lovely, thanks. Yours?
No complaints.
You miss me?
Always.
This is the weird thing about hammock camping as a couple. There are no cuddles, no kisses, no spoons, just loneliness.
Based on probabilities too, right?
Yeah.
How probable is that? And it's funny because a lot of people will say sleeping in a hammock seems like a bear burrito, right? You're just hung up there to be eaten. A tent has like a millimeter of nylon. How safe is that?
But I think, it does. I think like those are the risks when people who don't spend time in the wilderness think, like bears and wolves and things like that. And I think the real risk is being in the backcountry 2 or 3 days in and rolling your ankle and not having an exit strategy, right? Like it's a lot more mundane than you would think. It's those exposure risks that I think people think about less, right?
Hey! Back off! Hey! Yeah, that's it. Scram.
All right. So this is more towards Erin because your background and your work you're in. So if you go off into the wilderness, is it good for your mental health?
Yes, 100%. For a lot of reasons, and it is. There's actually a lot of research and studies for, and so it's interesting that you work with. I didn't know that you do work with at-risk populations, because there's a lot of studies that show like getting out into the wilderness or just outdoors, right? Like, and they talk about for people while they're at risk, or they talk about people like youth, things like that. It can be really beneficial in just for mental health in general, and then it creates competency, right? Like you get out there and you're providing for yourself and you're meeting your basic needs in a way that you don't at home, and even just that competence and confidence can go a long way for mental health. And then exercise, of course, right? There's countless studies that show the importance of getting exercise and how it can release endorphins and so many reasons why getting out in any capacity. It doesn't have to be a big backcountry trip, right? Go out in your backyard and find something to do some gardening, or go out and find some trails. But absolutely, it's very beneficial.
And Kevin, if I can add to that, because I knew you were going to ask this question, I prepared a quote. It's just 2 sentences long, don't worry. Actually, it's one, separated by a hyphen. Undoubtedly, there are many people for whom medication and therapy are the best options, but give someone a paddle, canoe, and some real time in the wilderness, and I'll show you some natural healing. Is that familiar?
Where'd you get that? Oh, shit.
You wrote this, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, stop putting my books up. I'm not good with all that stuff.
That's the last one, man.
All right, so you got me all flustered now. Now I have to go to the script, see? Oh, yeah. Oh, ultimate question here. So I'm going to start off with Jonathan. So yeah, you did you have an epiphany one day to start YouTubing all your life? Like your life?
Well, here we go. Starting out a 9-day solo trip. This is the farthest north I've ever camped. And Erin is tied up this week. She couldn't come with me. And I miss her already. I was so used to solo life, and now I really miss her when she's not here.
What wasn't an epiphany, I wouldn't say. I had a point and shoot camera. I watched guys like you and explore the backcountry, Brad now, and also Wayne and now Leah. I watched them in the winters a lot because winter is long and all I can think about is getting back out there. And then for my spring opening trip in Queen Elizabeth II Wildlands, I just brought my point and shoot camera and decided to do it. From there, I found it really fun. It's a creative outlet. It extends the trip. You're thinking about it for a longer amount of time, and it preserves a priceless memory. So I just I fell in love with it, and it was fun doing it with 100 subscribers. And it's just the amount of fun doesn't change with the number of subscribers really, but you can start making a little money, which is nice too. Not a lot of money, but a little, cover a few expenses.
Pay for that drone.
Now, if you think back, was it 2 or 3 years? I think it's 2 years plus.
3 this April, actually. It's right around now, it's 3 years, yeah.
Okay, and you're over the 20,000, which is a big level at YouTube. Is it worth the trolls? Like, is there a certain day where you're like, this is my personal life, why am I filming this?
That's a great question, because it can really get you down, especially if your video, let's say you put your heart and soul into a video, it doesn't do great. You get like quite a few thumbs down, and then you get the trolls, and you think, why? Like, why am I pouring my heart and soul into this? But you gotta do it for yourself. I'm not a good editor, a videographer, a bushcrafter. I don't have any really significant skills. All I have is a burning passion for canoe tripping, and that has to be the driving reason behind it. It's all I have, and it's just for the joy of that.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, I work in the film industry, and you are a very good film person. You know how to create a story. You know how to capture the image. And yeah, I started watching your stuff because I love fishing. I love brook trout, and I'm obsessed with trout. So when I saw your channel, that's fantastic. But yeah, you progress into getting really good imagery. So going to that though, is that, so you're on Lake Superior, and yeah, you're from Southern Ontario, you moved north, and obviously you love it there. But what is the big capture of Lake Superior? If nobody's ever been there, because you filmed it, but a lot of people don't go north anymore, right? So, and I try to tell them all my talks why Lake Superior is so captivating. So you just tell them why it's so special.
She's lived here her whole life. You start.
It's hard to explain, like, and it's an interesting like draw. I was in Geraldton for 4 years prior to moving up to Marathon with John, and a big part of when we talked about when we got together, and obviously one of us was going to have to relocate if things got serious, and for me, like, I just had this pull back to Lake Superior. It's such a it's an ocean, it's a sea, right? Like, it's just its own beast that you can't. I think, like, if anyone wants to know, I would like watch Bill Mason's Water Walker, because it captures it so well. Like, it's its own thing. Or look, and the Group of Seven, or look at that artwork. Like, it's just such an inspirational, and I can't really describe why. You have to come here and see it for yourself, I guess. But
yeah, it's the power of something awesome.
Yeah.
Like looking at a mountain, but it's a lake. It's the mountain of lakes. Yeah. And
it's the Everest of lakes.
Yeah, it's the Everest of lakes. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you. But on a very specific level, you got crystal clear blue water, very pure, very clean, unbelievable trout fishing. People don't realize how good the trout fishing is on Lake Superior, and maybe that's for the best. But
yeah,
it's the best trout fishery in the world, in my opinion, that I have fished. Obviously, no one's fished them all, but it really is incredible. And this topography is so rugged along the North Shore. That's what a lot of people don't realize here. If you're from Southern Ontario and you're used to flat, you get up here and you're like, wow, this is Ontario? It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is he a sponsor of Doritos, but also of Northern Ontario tourism. All right, going back to YouTube, a couple more questions on that, because I actually really want to know the answers for this, because I'm really intrigued with it, because you live that life more than I do. I do sporadic things to get people out there. I just don't do one specific. And when you dealing with trolls, you'll deal with it. Like just, there's days where I just get fed up, but just they're trolls, right? I got in a conversation with a lot of the older paddlers that have been around for a while, that did film, books, whatever. And we started talking about the social media stuff, the YouTubing, whatever. And there were some people saying, okay, but they're saying, well, yeah, there's YouTube, there's some really good solid material, and then there's just narcissism. And then I said, kind of laughed, I said, guys, that's always been around. Like when I worked in film, that was around. When I was working in radio, that was around. like, in fact, all of us that actually stand on stage all have a little bit of it, whether we control it or not, right? But do you see that is overwhelming in YouTube more so than in the past of film and books and stuff like that?
I don't think so. I think exactly how you said it is those people exist in every group. You can't generalize any group. You can't generalize YouTubers, people of a certain race, certain religion. You can't. There are good, bad, odd, narcissistic people of all kinds in all groups. And that's true of YouTubers as well.
I actually disagree. Guy is the biggest narcissist. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I agree with John. I think it's anywhere in any medium it exists. But I mean, I think I have less interaction than John, but my first couple interactions in the YouTube world, I'm not as in it in terms of being a creator or anything. I just pop up in videos from time to time, but I'm sure there's lots of narcissism on YouTube, but I don't see it. In my experience in the outdoor crowd, it's a lot of people who just have a passion and they're excited to share it.
Well, that's good, because it's really good content there, because there's a question that a lot of us that don't do a lot of YouTube, like I'll do sporadic things and I'll have a weird puppet sometimes, and I'll have a Speedo Man and whatever, and it's but and that brings a point to Erin. It's like I do that, and also in my books too, and my past books, whatever, all the people that are around me become part of my life in that writing, because I'm a writer, right? Or I'm a film person or whatever. So now, Erin, you're with, the Backcountry Angling guy that started before that, and then got popularity a bit, and everybody kind of liked him, and then you pop in. But what's it truly like to have a camera stuck in your face all the time? Do you want to just lose it and throw the Doritos at him, or what?
It's interesting. So when we first met, we met online, and we were just talking about our interests and stuff. And second to Doritos, he told me that he's into filming, and I was like, oh, like, what kind of stuff do you do? And he sent me just like one of his short clips on YouTube. So I was like, oh, that's neat. And then when we were going on
that sounds pretty narcissistic. I don't remember doing that.
Challenge accepted. And this time, it's personal.
And then we went on that winter camping date, and he actually was ahead of time, was like, okay, but are you ready to be in a YouTube video called, like, and I was like, yeah, for sure. And then, like, we went and the camera came out, and I was like, oh, that wasn't a joke. And it went from there.
This is Erin. Hello. Some people were saying that it's unusual that she's coming camping alone with someone on a second date, but it's also, if anything, it's weird recording a second date, so sorry about that.
But it's pretty special that we have our second date on video onward, right?
Yeah. And so I've gotten used to it. Like, it's honestly, I find I don't mind, like, when I'm out there and just, like, I don't know the camera's rolling, I don't really care. It's more awkward when he's like, like, take some Erin cam, do a little, like, say, like, what we've done today or stuff like that. And that's more kind of not as natural for me to talk to the camera. I'll be like, it's been a beautiful morning. But
yeah.
Well, Erin's getting her rock cold shoes on. How we doing?
Got him.
She got him on. She's a trooper.
Which is a huge help, because I don't like talking. I really don't. You would think that sounds like BS from a YouTuber who, like, just talks on camera all the time, but I don't like it. So it's really nice to be able to share that load. And she's so great. Like, she got an extra GoPro, and we get two perspectives on the trip.
We're here. So we're out here on day 3.
Backcountry
Pretty much the only people who have ever been.
It's just like a super organic trip. We haven't really even filmed much.
Yeah.
Just like super organic and just chill.
Having Erin in the videos has just added so much to them, I think, for everyone else, but also me. It's more fun to edit trips where we're both there. I really enjoy it so much more with Erin.
Mm-hmm. What?
We look like we're in a coffee commercial.
I feel like I'm in a coffee commercial.
We looked at each other and smiled.
Overall, like, I really enjoy the memories. Like, it's so cool to, like, even our second date, but then even all of our paddling, like, each trip we do, it's pretty cool to have that you know, put together and have a video for each one. And we've been together just over a year, and there's already so many, so I can't even, you know, hopefully in 20 years we'll still be together looking at them.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, in 20 years when we're together.
Oh, that almost tipped us.
Woo, time to go.
Signing off now.
Oh my lord! So this is really interesting, though, Jonathan. You think about it. Okay, so here we are that really weren't born out of wilderness. You were introduced to it. You started doing the canoeing, fishing. You're more obsessed with. So in theory, you should have started a YouTube called Backcountry Angling and had all these anglers, which is really where the money, the wealth is, the popularity, the whole, like, the angling culture is a lot bigger than canoe culture in Canada, which is wrong. But so then all of a sudden you started canoeing, probably to get into more wild places to catch more wild fish, or maybe because you had no job and you just went off and lived in your car and canoed for 95 days. And then you went to North because you actually got a job. And then you still started fishing and then canoeing more. And then you met Erin. And then really, you know, the videos are, what the hell are they about? It's like you and Erin going out and maybe you catch a fish, maybe not, but you're in a canoe. Well, there's no title for
that. Yeah, that's true. You got to kind of establish a theme on the fly, right? So if you're trying to tell a story, you need some kind of a narrative through the video, right? And often you go into it with an idea, and that idea just goes to hell.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh, that's refreshing. Oh, the tree! You go that way! Whoa! 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 What happened to this lazy river?
And you gotta, like, start building another story. And it's not, like, I hate using the word story, but because I'm not a storyteller, I'm not. But anyway, you have to give the video a theme, right? And so you end up doing that on the fly most of the time based on how the trip is evolving.
Yeah, and I think that's a process too. Like, and I think we're getting better at that. Like, instead of, you can't go into a trip with, and like, there's a bit of a theme, like winter camping or our hot tent. But aside from that, it's really just what happens, and the story plays itself out, and then hopefully we've captured enough of kind of what that ends up being to put into a video, right?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So basically what you're saying is all the videos are not scripted, and really Jonathan can't catch a fish. You probably catch them and put them on his line.
Honestly, I don't, it's not like I outfish her badly or anything. Some days she outfishes me, you know? There's no shame in that.
Crap! Oh, it's in good. Evidently this one was not a pinched barb. Oh! Oh!
Get it?
Oh yeah.
Just happens.
I mean, to be fair, he still picks my lures, so.
You know, I help her, but I have more knowledge and experience,
Yeah.
but she's a good angler.
I'm good. I don't know why I have, like, I feel I'm good at casting. I can get it where I want. Right? But like, I don't pick the lures. Like, I don't have that same knowledge that you have of, like, where to be and what lures to use and all that. But like, I can get a line in the water.
Okay.
All right, so I really I usually ask people what's your favorite canoe design, what's your favorite paddle design, whatever. But that's not for you, Jonathan. Okay, so all right, so you had a 3-keeler. I don't even know who made that boat, and it's been everywhere. So who made that 3-keeler boat you've had, and it's gone everywhere?
Well, I've never repaired a canoe before, not properly. You can see some Bondo on here, which I've used to try and reinforce the keel, which takes the most beating. So I'm going to be super gluing some birch bark onto here and then putting some Gorilla Tape over it. It's all that I can think of based on what I have. And I'm just trying to prevent a serious gouge. Like, I'm worried about it going through the Kevlar at this point. So I'm just trying to cover the Kevlar. It's going to leak. The water in here is going to stay. It's just going to suck. But There's nothing I can do about that right now that I know how to do anyway.
Single keel.
Is
But
it?
it's a single. My dad's canoe was a triple keel. I don't know if that was in some older videos, maybe. It was a fiberglass pig. This one, it was from Beach Marine in Hamilton. Yeah. Oh man, that canoe is amazing value. I got it's Expedition Kevlar layup. It's got like upgraded seats, gunnels, yoke. I got a couple paddles with it, all for under $1,500 at the time. New. That's it. That's insane, man. Like, you know how much they cost, and it's a lot more than that typically.
I've never heard of that company before in my life, so I don't know.
Interesting. They're not big, but yeah, they're in Hamilton. They're right on the harbor, Hamilton Harbor, so you can actually take a test paddle too.
So it's been everywhere, and actually I kind of thought it was really cool because my first boat that I actually wrote 2 books with, I pulled out of a dump. It was a 3-keeler, and I don't know who made it. It just was free. But so I just watched your video the other night. You got a new canoe.
Sir, proud owners of a Novacraft Prospector 17 feet. And
17, that's good.
Stuff.
Yeah,
the old one was 15, which is pretty tight when you're fitting a week of gear and 2 people into a canoe, and you end up stacking higher, which is not good in the canoe. It raises your center of gravity, obviously. So the 17 is much nicer for that.
That was my other question. I was wondering if that boat was 15 because it looked pretty tight for you guys on a trip. I mean, you guys did it. It was fantastic. I think it's great. So why the Prospector? Why that design?
So versatile. If you're gonna have one canoe to do it all, like maybe someday I'll have 10 canoes for different purposes, but right now I had 1 and now I have 2. So I need one that pretty much does it all. Including whitewater and Superior. I think the Prospector is just a great design for that because yeah, you can go from a lake and you can go to rapids. It's not the perfect vessel for either, but it absolutely does great in almost any situation.
That's cool. It's cool. And you're right about the color. It's weird name. It's blood red.
Oxblood.
Oxblood.
Yeah.
Specifically oxblood.
That is not a Bill Mason red color. That like it's just like
No.
And to paddle Lake Superior with oxblood color, you should be shunned. Just like Aaron's father not wanting to kill a fish. But
yeah, he's very disappointed. We're paddling around a canoe covered in blood, but blood-colored canoe.
It was PETA. PETA threw the blood on the canoe.
Oh my God! Don't bring politics into this. All right. When we see, I'm gonna go to my script back here again. It's I think. Oh my Lord. Oh yeah. No. I'm looking at your 3 trips. Want to talk about? Sorry, Jonathan. Is it and yeah. Sorry, Aaron. You weren't there on these trips. Sorry about that. Little Pick River. You got a lot of attention for because that's crazy. Oh boy. And I just, for my own interest's sake, was that through the reservation section on the Little Pick?
No, it's not part of any formal administrative reservation.
Okay,
no.
I'm just trying to figure out where that was because I've done the upper Little Pick, but not the lower.
That's the Pick River.
Oh yeah.
Okay. The Little Pick is just to the west of it.
Okay, looks like a great trip. The Still River, that's insane.
Look at this poor little thing. He was about to drown. I thought it seemed weird for a little bird to be swimming. I'm gonna take him back to the shore on the left where he came from. And hopefully he can return to his nest, or I don't know. But glad I checked it out. Poor guy. I think he's trying to call out, but he can't. He's probably exhausted.
I love that loop.
I'll do it again, but I don't want to.
Well, you know what's really nice is shuttling and just doing the river section. That's what we did last year. So 2 years ago, I did the full loop alone over 12 days. It can be done in much less. It can be done in 6 days if you really just want to fly. But that's not how I like to travel. It's not how you like to travel, I don't think. We like to enjoy it and, you know, smell the flowers and everything.
Yeah, and the blue walleye.
Just took a cast from shore, a few casts, and hooked into what felt like a pretty good fish. It's not that big of a walleye, but it is blue. It's incredibly blue on its back, on its top half. Oh, there goes the hook. That is so cool. I've heard of these blue walleye, but I've never seen one. Huh.
Blue walleye, good pike fishing. There's supposed to be brook trout in the Steel too, but I haven't gotten into any on our 2 trips. But
Yeah.
Oh, another one!
Oh my god.
No! Watch for rocks. Just try and do both. Oh, wow. Magic. Pure steel magic.
The other one was the Wessabitadong. Like that's my glory hole, right? So so that
what?
well, I know it's a terrible trip, but it brings back a lot of memories. I mean that. What?
I don't know if that means what you think it means.
Oh, a sexual innuendo. I see. I'm gonna have
I had to call you. I had to call you on it.
well, cheers on the glory hole sexual innuendo.
We're speaking moistly now.
Oh, stop it, you two.
So moistly.
Oh Lord, get a room. All right. The West of Bidong, like the amazing trip. I love that area, basically because that's where my dad and I went when I was a kid, and then it's the first time I paddled a canoe to get into some brook trout, changed my life when I was 12 years old. The last time you did that trip, nobody's maintaining it anymore, right? So, and especially because you guys live in the north, you know what's going on. There's no junior rangers. The Ontario Parks really isn't maintaining non-operating park routes as they should. So are they being maintained, or like people should not be going on these trips, or what? Like, should you recommend the Steel, the Wessabitadong?
I would love for more people to go. I always encourage people to go. You know, unless they're totally green, or if they've never done like a portage before or never run any whitewater before, then I'll temper my expectations. But I encourage people to go on these trips so that they get used and cleared and therefore protected, because the canoe route stays viable and people are using it. If no one's using it, it just becomes absorbed by the forest again, and then, you know, logging companies and such don't respect that it was a canoe route X years ago. People have to use it in order for it to get protection. So that's extremely important to me. But that route in particular was fantastic. The West of Bindong up from Ranger Lake. Just wish I could have gotten farther up there and come down on the Noosh. Did you come down on the Noosh? No, you flew out, didn't you?
Yeah, but I did. I went back again and did that. And I put it in the lost book. It was really low. I walked most of it. And there was actually more brook trout on the upper stretch where you guys, where you went, north of Megasin, those little ponds. There was more brookies in there than the other. I thought it would be the opposite. That fishing lodge, though, the fishing lodge that was abandoned, that's on Megasin. That's where my dad and I used to go years ago when I was like in my preteens. Yeah, I'm blabbing. So, okay, 2 more questions. So you ready? Just 2 more, that's it. This is exhausting.
Let's have a drink.
All right. Going back to Lost Canoe Routes, I actually just a week ago, my publisher Firefly contacted me, which was odd because we're in the virus thing. I didn't think they were even open. And and they said, yeah, this Lost Canoe Route book that you did, we're running out of them. I went, oh, yeah. And the funny story about that book, that was a book that my publisher at the time, Boston Mills, who were friends of mine, we went paddling together, whatever. And, you know, I had written a bunch of books for them, especially for Southern Ontario. And then they said, what do you want to do next? And I gave them this Lost Canoe Route book. And they good reason. They said, well, nobody will buy it. And I went, yeah, but it's to protect these routes. So you kind of owe me. So we did it. And it did really well and to protect the routes. And it caused some negative things too, because a lot of people called me the wilderness pornographer that told everybody about the lost routes, whatever. So here's the question. I'm going to give you 10 seconds now. So what they did is they actually, they said, well, we're going to do a rewrite. And what my publisher always does, if you notice, they say, hey, when you do a rewrite, Kevin, add 10 more routes so we can re-promote it, right? I went, yeah, I get what they do. So you guys live up there in the north. You've been paddling a lot lately on these lost routes. I'll give you 12 seconds. Give me 5 lost routes that should be in that book that are not in the book. 1, 2.
Are we supposed to answer it by the end of the 12 seconds, or we have 12 seconds?
During the countdown. 4.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're doing it.
Marshall Lake Loop.
Yeah.
Little Pick.
Yeah.
The Pick River as well.
Those are my 3.
I'm out. I don't know. It's too hard. I thought there were too many.
Yeah.
Too many. But there are 3.
Those are good ones. And
I didn't realize I had to answer during the countdown.
he thought he had 12 seconds.
I thought that was my thinking time. That's what I thought in the other question.
Yeah.
That's why I then responded for like 2 minutes.
Cheers on your anxiety with that. Okay.
I'm a time stressor, man.
But
I've said it before.
And I mean, like, there's some routes, but then like one of the really awesome things about John's job is he spends all day looking at just maps of Northern Ontario. So last May, the canoe route of our own trip, it's not a canoe route. He just was looking at lakes and was like, I want to connect these, and we did that, and we do a bit of that as well, right? So we explore some routes, but then we also kind of try and create our own, and that's pretty fun too. So that's.
Yeah, it's the best feeling. You feel like an explorer almost. It's the closest you can come to feeling like an explorer in the modern age.
Yeah.
I guess you can go up to the Arctic and things aren't mapped to the same level of detail, and I guess you could even enhance it more up there. But you can still get it pretty good up here. There's still plenty of bush here, and the maps aren't always right. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
It's a big country. It's a big province alone. Ontario alone is just massive, 250,000 lakes. Like it's hard to map all that in exquisite detail.
That's great. And then, so your whole background of the college, you're actually using that not only for your work, but also for your paddling, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's very beneficial. I put out some videos before on like where to find tools and resources for mapping, because anyone knows if you're trying to do a canoe route that's not super well established, there's most likely not a map for it in Ontario, and you have to improvise and make your own, and it's a joyful experience, and I like to help people try and do that.
Do you like maps? Me too. You sometimes look at maps and just imagine what's out there. Me too. Let me show you something. Isn't whispering the most awful noise? A couple of years ago I made a map looking for the most remote, wild, pristine places in the province of Ontario. It wasn't a fancy or scientific analysis at all, but I think the results are pretty logical. The point of the analysis was to produce the results on a map, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So the map is called No Trace, and it's about finding Ontario's most pristine wilderness.
That's great. All right. Well, I'm going to end this by asking what's next, but I got another question in my head I have to spit out. So the next trip you do, whenever that's going to be, because the virus, whatever. I'm going to ask Jonathan one question, then Erin the other. So Jonathan, what Dorito brand are you going to bring the next trip?
You know what? It probably won't be Doritos, because some people have pointed out to me that they use palm oil, and I don't want to sound like a hippie, but whatever. I try not to. I try to make the easy cuts. Anyway, no name brand nacho chips. Don't use palm oil.
I don't know what to say. We lost him. He's gone. I know to some he was just a corn chip, but to me he was a friend. He's always there for me with his cheesy, corny jokes, his zesty personality. Whenever I was feeling empty, I could count on him to fill me up. A lot of people say he was quiet, but I know that Once you got him to open up, there was no closing him. I'll miss you, buddy.
So I've been buying them lately, they make a sweet chili heat, which is dynamite. So probably that.
That's a good solid answer. I'm quite proud of you there, Jonathan. All right. Now, Erin, if you had to steal a lure out of Jonathan's tackle box so you can catch more fish than he can, what would that lure be?
That's great.
I would say, I think Little Cleo.
I knew it.
Classic.
I knew it.
What color? What color? Green, blue? What?
This can be jigged vertically and casted very effectively. The 2/5 ounce allows you to bomb it pretty well.
Green.
Green, half silver, half green.
Yeah.
Really?
Silver.
Yeah.
So not bronze and green, just it's silver and green.
I don't know.
Probably matters less than we think it does, right?
And I know less than you think I do, so. The Lost Canoe Routes, another one though. I just thought of the gravel.
Gravel River.
Gravel River.
Oh no.
No.
So I was.
Have you done it?
No. Do you know Rob Haslam from Geraldton?
Yes.
We were contemplating doing that trip this June. We've since rescheduled a different trip, if we can do any trip at all. But I want to do that trip someday. And this summer we plan to explore the headwaters and creep our way in. What do you know about? What have you heard?
I think we should have my buddy Andy and also Bill Ostrom answer that question because Andy's done the gravel. Well, there's a long story. We'll have a separate interview with Andy on that. But just say it will be lost. In fact, these guys know the bush really well, and they said the river disappears for a while. They couldn't find it.
That's what I hear.
Well, it's not a canoe. I mean, it wasn't even an established canoe route. Like, is there a pamphlet on it by the M&R? Like,
no, I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of. But the allure is you look at it on a topographic map, and it's this deep, long trench leading to Lake Superior, and it's irresistible. If you have any sense of wanderlust, like you just get pulled there, and I want to go someday.
Well, it's the same thing as Devil's Crater. Like, Bill Ostrom went to Devil's Crater. There wasn't a route at one time. I think it was what river goes down to it. It's a big voluminous river, but then you head up into Devil's Crater, and then other people just helicopter in and look at it and then fly out, right? But so they went in, and then Andy went in again, and so they're trying to convince me to go, but you have them over a few drinks, and they all say it was hell. So I'm like, question. And it's Devil's Crater, so it'd be really cool to go and visit that place. But they said, it's tough. And I said, well, is it a canoe route? Did the First Nations actually go there by canoe no? But then why are we doing that?
Because it looks epic.
Yeah.
And it's funny you bring that up because Erin's dad's friend, Mike, just emailed us a few routes that I guess he's an experienced paddler. I haven't met him yet, but he emailed us 3 routes, and that was one of them. 3 routes that should be on your bucket list, and that was one. It's funny you bring that up.
Yeah, and Nikina, I don't know if you've been out of Nipigon, but that whole area for brook trout, it's really not so good as it was in the old days for various reasons.
Damming.
But for historic reasons, for the books that were written on that area for the brook trout, and Nipigon itself, that is an oasis. Like, I'd go there in a heartbeat. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So lots of places in the north. It's really interesting to work at the college where you went to, and you're at the School of Natural Resources, and all these people want to work in the bush, and yet so many of them do not want to move north. So I'm glad you did. I'm glad you love it. So yeah,
it was awesome for me. In a job market where so many people don't want to do that, and you want to, man, you have it made.
All right, so we got the Doritos and we got this. All right, last question. What's next? Are you going to change the name of Backcountry Angling Ontario to Jonathan Erin Canoeing, maybe catching fish somewhere in the north?
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, probably could be a good branding move. But because Backcountry Angling Ontario, like my family has told me this, they're like, it's too nichey, you know, it's not broad appeal. But I honestly don't think it matters that much from like a marketing perspective. There are lots of very popular channels out there with very random names like Fowler's Makery and Mischief. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but it's got over 600,000 subs. And like I think the quality of the content is the thing to focus on. But I have been tempted to change the name because it's not just about the angling. I love fishing, I love it, but it's not just about that. But it's just a name in the end, so probably not. And plus, I've got like a Gmail attached to that tag and an Instagram, and I can't bring myself to do all that stuff again, start from scratch. So screw it.
So what's next? So doing the, I don't know why I'm doing the 10-second thing, whatever. I'm finding it funny, but if you had to choose 5 more routes to do that you've never done before, but it's on your, well, I don't like saying bucket list, but on your to-do list. So I'll give you 12 seconds and just yell it out during the whole thing. What?
Okay. The Albany, Mackenzie,
Missinaibi, a
Kopka.
big Superior trip, Kopka.
What else do we have? Gravel.
and but more than anything, Kevin, just a long trip.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter where. Obviously, it does to an extent, but what is really beautiful and valuable is the duration of a trip. Once you get to a week, you get into a different mindset. You know this, but then the trip ends almost all the time, right? For most of us, having the duration of the trip would be more priceless than any destination.
And we're kind of talking about, like, he's thrown around, we don't know if it's realistic or not, but you know, if we do lose this whole season, then maybe we're kind of looking at, like, maybe next year we try and find a way to get a month off and do one big, like, epic trip, right? It's hard right now with, like, I'm doing my master's degree, so I have various chunks of time between courses, but luckily August is one of those times. So yeah, I don't know, it's hard to say, it's unpredictable, but if we lose this whole season, we might try and do a big one.
Yeah, but I can't personally bear the thought of that. So yeah. We're thinking, right now I'm thinking worst case, end of July, we can go outside again. And if that's the case, then we'll have more vacation to use later in the year. So that's an upside, I guess. But and then maybe we use our vacation to do one big 2-week trip instead of 2 week-long trips, and then we have one big special trip, maybe. But we'll see.
All right. Well, cheers on that.
Cheers, man.
All right.
Thanks for having us, Kevin. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, this interview, Whisky Fireside Chat number 64, I think, or something. I don't know. I'll write it down. Was sponsored by Doritos.
Yeah. No name brand tortilla chips.
No name brand tortilla chips, actually. No palm oil.